Hey, this is Ramon Ray with Smart Hustle Magazine and Infusionsoft. Welcome to another edition of Smart Hustle Magazine. So, who are you and who do you work for?
My name is Arjun, like Argentina, but no Tina, just for pronunciation's sake.
Yep.
I am the founder and CEO of Canvas, which is basically a Prezi for collaboration or minority report for project management. It's a startup I started here at the university, and that's what I do.
Right, and right now, actually, we're sitting in the Entrepreneur Center of NYT. What's the proper name for where we're at?
We are actually looking for a name to put on it. Right now, we call it the NYT School of Management Incubator. Okay. And this is actually the office I've been working out of for the last 3 to 4 years, 3.5 years actually. And this is my desk that I've been literally calling investors up and calling clients up, coding away, and this is where it all started.
And just curious, what's the difference between being from home, wherever you're at in a desk there, and here? You know, just curious why people like the aspect of being in an office. Just something I thought of.
I think coming into the office environment and being with other people actually definitely gets you energized, especially if you feel that energy from other people. And the incubator actually lends itself to a lot of resources and whatnot. So if you could sit at home in a bed and try to work, but the fact of the matter is that you feel lazy, you feel lethargic, you really want to get out. And the 9-to-5 hustle, it really lends itself to success and whatnot when you actually come to the office and are extremely focused on your work.
Awesome. So let's talk about Canvas a bit. Explain to us in not so much detail, but overview of what is it. I know for those who don't know Prezi is kind of the cool version of PowerPoint, but you can explain all this yourself. And there was another analogy which I like that you used, which was...
I like to say Minority Report. Where
that's right.
Tom,
Minority Report, yes.
If you remember where Tom is up against the wall, he's navigating the wall by just using his hands. Mm-hmm. I like to say that vision of the future is finally here. It was here actually by other companies supposedly, but those companies charge millions of dollars for their clients and customers to use. I like to say that future should be available to small businesses, definitely your clientele, small businesses, medium businesses who want to do collaboration, especially if they're visual and visual or creative folks essentially. So that's what we're building.
Gotcha. And then feel free to talk a little bit more about what it does. So I have a team of 10 or 20 or 50. Yes. Where does Canvas fit in? Explain it, overview what it is.
So traditionally you would use tools like Trello, Asana, Microsoft Project, which tend to be very powerful tools in their own category, but they seem to be also very linear. So they're very boxed in, linear approach in UI, UX, user interface, user experience. And for a creative person, especially a copywriter, an art director, production studio, as a person who's working there and is very visual, likes to work with post-it notes and paper, have giant size wall covered by whiteboards and whatnot. Those kind of people actually can use these tools, and they want to do the dueling. They want to be like kindergartners. They just want to free flow and drag people to different tasks, at least psychologically. Drag tasks to different people, drag files to different people. So we actually allow you to do all of that on a touchscreen. So here, if you actually look behind me, is a mock-up of actually a wall where you have 10 people on the wheel. You can drag people into a project. You can drag people into a task. If I want to share a file with you, why do I have to upload it, email it to you? I can actually take the file and drag it to as many individuals on the team as possible. And then again, keeping to the visual theme, we actually tell you how far along your project is by way of color. So green means it's on time, yellow means is about to be delayed, red is absolutely delayed and past deadline.
Red means to fire the person.
Well, red means actually you need to get your act together. Right. And if you see a lot of green circles, that's a good thing. If you see some yellows and some reds, you might want to be concerned as a CEO or project manager. Same thing with thickness of lines. So the thicker the line, the more detail-oriented the project is, the thinner the line, the less detailed. Maybe you don't need to be as hands-on on the project itself. So taking visual cues and psychology into mind and building a product around that, which is beautiful in design, almost like Apple, if you will. We need to bring art and design back into software as well. And that's what we're doing for SaaS.
No, I love it. It seems to me like you're right in time with, meaning you had the PC era, yes. Pardon the analogy, but QuickBooks and 3.5-inch floppies. I'm going way back, but that was the era that matched that time. It sounds to me like, again, the iPhone and iPad and Android devices are older, but this is the top of the level of mobile. more and more touch-based computers are coming out. So it seems to me like, in addition to the UI, that you're right on cue for the touch world. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Actually, if you go into any computer store, the Best Buys of the world, or even a local computer store, 99% of the computers that are running Windows operating system are actually touch-based. You can get a $299 computer, you can get a $199 computer on sale, sometimes a $399 computer, a laptop. They're all touch-enabled. And so this begs the question, who's actually building the visual tools for any of these platforms? There's amazing technology that's coming out. And we like to say we're building a startup which is actually driven by art and design. So that's actually unheard of in software as a service, SaaS, especially for small business and medium-sized companies. They usually use linearly designed software, which has been around for the last 20 years essentially. The UI hasn't changed. If you actually try using Outlook, or if you try using even Gmail or any of these tools which are fabulous on the desktop, if you start pinching on them or zooming in or actually using your fingers instead of a mouse click, it's very hard to get anything done, and you actually feel more frustration. It's too complicated, it's not minimalist, it's not contemporary at all.
So let's go to the we're almost to the questions about the hustle.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about funding so people understand the context. You're a startup, like many startups. You're building something with a goal to have other people invest in it, who believe that it will grow and go big. But let's talk about your funding, whatever you can say publicly, what you've done so far, so people understand why I'm asking about why Arjun's the man of hustle.
So thank you for asking the question. So we did a pre-seed round, if you will. We did a little under 100K about 2 years ago when I was, I think, entering my junior year in college or leave. There was basically a summer between sophomore year and junior year. I had essentially closed the round of funding. And that basically allowed us to build an MVP.
Which is minimal viable product?
Minimal viable product, just to get the idea out there, get a couple of agencies, a couple of startups to use the product. We had the first investors in Pinterest, Twitter, Facebook, and Foursquare. We had the founder of Vonage, the telephone company, and a board member from AdTech, and Hootsuite as well, which is a very successful startup. So we had some pretty notable entrepreneurs and investors. We can get into the hustle, actually, how I got in front of those people.
Which is what I'm dying to know. I mean, did your father work at Pinterest and your mother worked at Twitter? I mean, were you born in their lobby? But continue on.
Absolutely. So, but as far as the funding is concerned, that allowed us to build the MVP again, get traction, get some more feedback, iterate the product, and eventually raise the next round of funding. And so the next round of funding, we actually just closed on about a week or so ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so we'll be actually publicly disclosing the amount. It is a significant amount. I haven't seen this kind of money before, but I when I raised the first round, I hadn't seen that kind of money either. And we've done almost around 10 times as much. So
nice.
so I'm pretty proud of all the amazing work we've done and the traction we've gained, and we're just going to keep hustling.
And let's talk to them about the hustle. I mean, let's the guys and gals who are connected already, let's ignore them for now. And maybe you are connected. I don't know. We're going to hear your story now. But I mean, tell me how you did it. Let's just what anecdotally, how did you connect with these people? If you didn't go to school with them and your uncle didn't, I don't know. Tell me.
Yep, no, none of that. So I like to say, most people will say you do a family and friends round in the just to get the company started. Actually, they had an all investor round. Actually, they were all angel investors that I hadn't known before. So, for example, Jeff Pulver, who's the founder of Vonage, co-founder of Vonage, and the first investor in Facebook, Twitter, and Foursquare as well. The way I got to him was actually just tweeting at him when I was in high school. And so I was tweeting at him questions and different just getting into his mind essentially, and his sphere. And when I actually finally met him about 2.5 years ago, about 3 years ago, I was approaching him at a conference he was speaking at, and he, even before I could say anything, he said, "Aren't you the kid who's been tweeting at me?"
Nice.
He has an amazing memory. And so we started talking, and about a couple of months later, he actually invested, or about a little under a year later, he invested. Another investor, Brian Cohen, who's the first investor in Pinterest, literally he found those kids on campus, and so he gave him the check. Anyway, so I met him at a Wall Street Journal meetup down in Tribeca, I believe, or Meatpacking District, at a Think Coffee. And so Wall Street Journal had taken up the entire coffee shop for the entire day. He was speaking towards the end of that day, and I came up and I was sitting in the front row. And after this talk, I asked him if he can. I was actually the first or second guy up there, so I was making it a point to sit in the front row or in the second row if I can manage it, or right next to the mic. So I asked him a question during the panel itself, and then I ran up to him. I think I was the first or second guy, and I said, I would love to sit down and grab coffee with you and get your feedback on the startup I'm working on. Clearly the space, since he actually sold a tech PR firm in the 90s, one of the largest. And so he said, sure, call me up and email me. You should find my information online. And I said, can I have your business card? He said, no, if you're actually a true entrepreneur, if you're a true hustler, you'll be able to get my information online. And I kept at it. I said, I'm very old school. I give hugs, I write thank you notes, and I still exchange business cards. Would you mind if I get your business card? And he said, absolutely, here's my card. And I think I was probably the only one who actually walked away of that meetup. There must have been about 50, 100 people there, more like 90-ish. And so I called him up for 30 days, 3 to 4 times a day, left messages, texted him. And I basically said, I would love to meet with you and get your feedback on the deck and everything. Halfway through that 30 days, he basically said, this probably doesn't seem like it's going to work because, I don't have time right now and I'm very busy and whatnot. I kept at it. Finally, on about 28 days, whatever the calendar, the day of the month was, I said, I know you're speaking at Consumer Electronic Week, CE Week. Can I get 15 minutes of your time, 10 minutes of your time before you go on stage? And he said, I didn't know that, actually. This must be something wrong with the schedule. And apparently there was something wrong with the schedule. Anyhow, he showed up around 12 o'clock at noon, and we talked, and within about 2 minutes, he was into the he said, I'll give you my check. And till this day, the back of my business card has a photo of me and someone's shoulder. And that shoulder is actually Brian Cohen's shirt, basically, you can see. And that's because 2 minutes after I pitched to him, he said, I'll give you my check, and make sure you work closely with me because I can help you get the startup out there.
And what I'm hearing here, Arjun, is that a couple things. I mean, one regarding Jeff, persistence, persistence. I mean, reaching out and in a nice way. I think some people are total jerks at it, but in a nice way. I think I'm hearing, well, of course, Brian's persistence as well, but I think it's very targeted. And then you mentioned about seeding. So I think what I'm learning here is that it's not just one thing, because you can be persistent and be annoying or stupid about it.
Yes.
And you can be,
I've seen that too.
you can be strategic, but then also not be persistent enough. Hey, can I have coffee with you? No. Okay. And you slink away. So, I mean, I hear you.
I mean, I have coffee dates set up with celebrities. I have, for example, it was Social Media Week just a couple of weeks ago. Martha Stewart was on stage, and I was sitting in the front row again, but actually to a corner. So I was actually not in her view, but I was in a corner. She would have to turn, and so I raised my hand, and I knew she was building beautiful products which are very tangible. She's into 3D printing. She is into drones as well. And I basically asked her a question, you build beautiful tangible products. When the Q&A happened, I asked her that question, but what about software? What about building beautiful software? And she said, we are actually definitely looking into that. We're always looking to hire people if we know it, if there are any software engineers in the crowd, at which point I'd raise my hand straight into the sky, and she said, oh, you are, we should talk after. And so that was actually my way into getting into her mind, right, into her view of hundreds of people and how I could pop out. And so after this discussion, there's actually a picture of her looking at me and answering my question and whatnot. I ran up to her and basically said, thank you so much for answering my question. Is there any way I can stop by your office and grab coffee with you or whatnot? She said, oh, sure, call up the office anytime. And I said, do you have an EA, an executive assistant? Because that's a strategy I've learned over the past few years. Who is your EA? Because you always get referred to the EA, and she's very busy, and other people are too. And so she said, yeah, talk to the lady behind me. And so I got her information, and so I'm hopefully I'll be meeting with her and as well as her editor-in-chief in a few weeks.
And I like the other thing I'm learning here, Arjun, is that it's, I think, one, you mentioned it got in their mind a lot of times. So I have that same strategy with many other people who I'm talking to, we talked to off camera already. We've talked about them. So it's a mind game, and not in a bad way, but everybody's busy. Same with you and I.
Yeah,
I mean, people want to talk.
be just respectful of people's time and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, people want to meet cool people.
Yes.
Who doesn't? People want to meet hustlers, entrepreneurial people who want to do things in the world. But there are a lot of people like that, and so if you want to be respectful and caring about other people as well, take care of how you approach them. Be mindful that they have an EA if they're that busy. Be mindful to say that if they turn you down in this week, say, how about in a couple of weeks? Can I follow up? And they'll most likely say, 99% of the time, sure, follow up with me in a month. And so you just show a little bit of care.
Another thing, I don't know, I'm curious your opinion. I just have a personal, visceral hatred for the word chat. Now, you said let's have coffee, which is similar, but I'm just saying me, because when people approach me, again, neither of us are Martha Stewart people. Well, you will be very soon, but my point is that, everybody wants somebody. So, hey, Ramon, can we meet for coffee and chat? Or I'd like to learn more about your business. If you want to learn more about business, you can just Google me. So we don't need to chat about that. If you want to just chat, we can have a 2-minute phone call. But I like your approach of, can you help me? Or what can we meet so I can help you? You're making it more value. Does that make sense what I'm trying to,
Yes. I always, one other thing is how you actually approach people. If you're doing it by email, the subject line is the most important. I'll get into that perhaps later. Mm-hmm. But when you ask in the paragraph, it should first of all not be longer than 2 paragraphs, or maybe 1 paragraph. And always say, I'd love to get your feedback on so-and-so or this and this.
Everybody will get feedback.
Love feedback, would love to get your input, would love to get your opinion. Put them on a pedestal. It's not about ego, it's not about anything else. It's just making sure that you're saying, I value your input, I value your time, I value the effort that you're going to make in giving me your time as well. And out of your busy schedule, is there any chance we can grab coffee for a couple of minutes? Then you say that. Yeah. You don't say, I'd love to chat with you about this. Our marketing strategy is great. Our business development person is awesome. He's hustling around. The product is excellent. We're getting a lot of traction. That is all a lot of business to business talk. Be human. Be the human to human element should always be there.
Yeah. No, I love it. Go ahead. You were going to mention. Did you email? Did you mention that already?
So the subject line, I always say, request for meeting, some sort of connection to me, maybe a college entrepreneur, or maybe met at this and this event, or this and this coffee shop. Always say, that email subject line is the most important, especially if you're on a iPhone or an iOS device. The subject line actually extends down. So if you have a really massive long subject line, it'll actually push the email down, and so you can read the entire subject line. And it's always bold. Yeah. And so there's hacks you can do here and there. I wouldn't recommend doing an enormous entire sentence into a subject line.
It's marketing, right? I mean, people are busy. Yeah. These guys are scrolling on the train. They're meeting their big dogs.
Yep.
You're nobody, in a good way, and so you better catch them. They make them, like Gary Vaynerchuk says, stop to scroll. I did a whole video on it, so that's what I hear.
It's all about that, and it's just don't overdo it. Yeah. I mean, always be respectful for their time, their attention on the mobile device. Obviously, as you said, they're always on their mobile device. Don't send them long emails. Send them a video or two, a link to it. Always use Dropbox. Mm-hmm. If you're sending them an investor a deck, don't upload it. There's no need to upload anything in this day and age. Put it on Dropbox. Send a link. They can download it. They most likely have a Dropbox app anywhere on their phone, and they can click on it and download it if they need to. Because they're downloading it anyway. The fact of the matter is that Dropbox download is going to be much faster than actually sending them an email with a large file, whatnot.
So and Arjun, in fairness to Office 365 and Google Drive, or some link to some shareable that they can do one click, no login, and it downloads.
Similar, there's so many tools out there. We're actually integrated with a lot of those tools, and I always I'm a huge fan of Dropbox, Google Drive, and just on the side, in Canvas, we actually allow you to do that. You can just drag the file to the person, and then that's it, and they get the file itself. And so we're heading into a very minimalist, contemporary, modern feel of an environment in the workplace, in the home, and so you have to build products around it, and your approach needs to be around that as well.
Awesome. Anything I didn't ask you or that you wanted to share? I know this is not a whole class yet. That's a good idea on entrepreneurship, but anything that I didn't ask that you wanted that you should have wanted to bring out?
I am writing a visual book right now for students to learn how to network, how to be entrepreneurial, raise funding, build a startup, and so that book should be coming out this summer or later this year, and it'll be probably on my blog or for a couple of dollars and whatnot. It's not really a money making machine essentially, but I feel like a lot of educational institutions or universities or schools and whatnot, they're teaching entrepreneurship with a sound mindset, keeping business in mind. But the fact of the matter is, business plans don't really help in the real world. I've done fundraising twice already. Business decks are important. Networking and hustling is not taught in this classroom. It's something you either have or you pick up on the way.
And some people just never pick it up right. I mean, do you think hustling can be taught? I mean, I guess there's some aspects, but I don't know. Nobody taught me. I think it's in me, but what do you think? I don't think it can be taught, but I'm curious your opinion.
I don't think it can be taught per se, but if you're pushed to the edge in life, especially mentally and emotionally and whatnot, you get into that mode where you have to survive. And that survival can change people, completely 180 degrees.
So you begin to like a guy on a desert. He doesn't catch the fish right the 10 times. But he's gonna die. So I see.
He'll figure it out, and he'll probably learn to collaborate with other people in the area as well, and aggregate resources and build things together. I like to say, if you want to learn about startups, sure you can take a class and whatnot, but I actually say play video games. I like to when I start teaching, I like to have my students learn from Age of Empires or Halo. Age of Empires being that you actually have to build a civilization. You have to build, have enough villagers to aggregate resources, enough soldiers to defend it. Think about marketing, and do you have too many marketers talking about the product, or do you have enough engineers building the product?
More than salespeople bringing money in.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have too many kings in the area and too many chefs in the kitchen, or do you actually have a better way of running the entire civilization? Halo teaches you teamwork. When I grew up, I used to play Xbox a lot with a lot of my friends, and we learned teamwork, how to take the flag and capture a flag, and divide up the strategies and whatnot. And it's just minor things, but it's fun. You learn strategy through fun. You don't learn it sitting in a classroom and just listening to a professor or a teacher. And so those things, there's simple things here and there that'll help you.
I can't wait to go to the Arjun school, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's coming out as part of my 10-year goal is to become an angel investor in young entrepreneurs and help them get to the next step. The other thing is actually open at Hogwarts, Harry Potter-like a school upstate somewhere, in maybe New York or Connecticut, and it'll be basically focused on art, design, and entrepreneurship. Wow. Because I think the future is really driven by how we feel about things, how we feel about people, how we interact with technology, and I definitely want to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, thanks for watching Smart Hustle Magazine, and once again, who are you and who do you work for?
I am Arjun, once again, like Argentina, but no Tina. I am the founder and CEO of Canvas, which is a visual project management startup here in New York in the Big Apple, essentially. And again, it's Minority Report for project management or Prezi for collaboration. Yeah.
Thank you, Arjun.
Thank you so much, Ramon.